Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term bullish divergence and is now once again retesting this crucial area of resistance on the price chart, as we now have less than 24 hours to go until the US stock market opens back up again, which can be a big deal for the crypto market, especially while we're continuing to see a lot of liquidations, a lot of liquidity pile above the price of Bitcoin in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, while Ethereum is now once again retesting this crucial Fibonacci level on the price chart, while the price of Solana is potentially about to soon retest this important area of resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have this massive bearish divergence, which is already confirmed and already playing out obviously very nicely over the last 1 to 2 months now. And we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate the bearish divergence. But as some have pointed out in the comment section in recent videos here on this channel, of course, we have a possible hidden bullish divergence forming right now on the weekly time frame, as we do have currently higher lows forming in the price and lower lows already confirmed in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. But at least as of right now, at the time of recording this video, that possible hidden bullish divergence is not currently confirmed, whereas the larger bearish divergence is already confirmed, and obviously confirmed over a month ago. It has been perfectly playing out. So at least for now, that is still the current situation on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last 1 week or so, we have been playing out a perfect bounce from this support right here at approximately 85,000. So continue to expect a lot of support at around 85,000 if the price actually gets back down there. And as for resistance, expect a lot of resistance in between around 92 to 94,000. And just over the last few hours or so, in fact, pretty much right now as of recording this video, we're pretty much just about retesting this area of resistance again after that small little rejection that we saw around 2 days ago. So obviously we ran into this area of resistance, perfectly saw a slight rejection, struggled in this exact area, which is to be expected. But then once again, we're now potentially seeing another slight little retest of this area. But as I talked about in my last video, I said don't necessarily expect a breakout over the weekend. It's much more likely that just for the weekend will remain below this resistance, kind of struggling a little bit in the short term. But then depending on how the US stock market performs in the new week, when it opens back up again, especially tomorrow, then that could be an indication to whether or not we see a potential breakout in the new week. Because if you've been watching my videos over the last few days, over the last 1 week or so, you'll know that in a couple of videos over the last 1 week, of course, I've talked about the US stock market, specifically the S&P 500 index, and how over the last 1 week or so, it has been seeing a decent recovery towards all-time highs, which has helped Bitcoin and crypto also have a bit of a short-term recovery, because crypto is highly correlated to the US stock market. It's not a perfect correlation, but usually if stocks have a major bearish move or major bullish move, usually Bitcoin and crypto follow something similar. But like I explained in my last video, because the US stock market is of course closed over the weekend, I don't really expect a breakout above this resistance for Bitcoin over the weekend. I continue to expect the price to remain somewhat neutral, show a little bit of weakness and struggle a little bit in the short term just under this resistance. And over the last 1 day, that's pretty much exactly what has already started to play out as I predicted yesterday, and this will likely continue at least for the next 1 day. And then once again tomorrow, the US stock market opens back up again, and depending on how that performs, that could potentially increase the probability of a breakout here if we see a further recovery in the stock market. And so if that ultimately happens, let's just say we confirm a breakout above 92 to 94,000, ideally with a daily candle close confirming above 94,000 and actually holding above that area. In that situation, I would expect a continued bullish move up towards roughly 100,000 as the next major price target, the next major point of resistance at roughly 100K. If we first confirm the breakout, of course, above 92 to 94,000, that is the the immediate resistance to pay attention to. And of course, alongside the price playing out this bounce from this support, we also perfectly played out an oversold signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI in the form of a shorter term bullish relief, just like what we saw last time around 9 months ago. And not only did we play out an oversold signal on the daily time frame, we played out an oversold signal and potentially still playing out an oversold signal in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And this is the first time we've seen this confirm in over 3 years. The time before this one was back in mid 2022. And of course, as I've said many times just recently here on the channel, in recent videos here on the channel, the last couple of times we confirmed an oversold signal in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, we either saw a larger sideways consolidation or a further bullish relief over the next multiple weeks. So rather than just potentially 1 week of a short-term bullish relief, as this daily signal suggests, once again, looking at the larger time frame, the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, because we have an oversold signal on this chart, this is suggesting potentially a bullish relief lasting for a bit longer, maybe a few weeks. And so obviously that suggests potentially at some point, maybe in the next week or so, it's possible we could start to see a breakout above this resistance. But remember, that also heavily depends on what the US stock market is doing. For example, if the stock market starts dumping next week, then it's unlikely we'll see a major bullish breakout for Bitcoin, which is why we really need to wait and see what the stock market does, especially tomorrow and on Tuesday in the beginning of the week. And of course, we're also still actively playing out this shorter term bullish divergence, at least as of recording this video. We've not yet confirmed the end or the invalidation of this short term bullish divergence on this 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. So as I said, since all the way back down here, we're most likely going to see a bit more of a bullish relief in the short term, maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action here and there. And obviously since then, that's exactly what has played out as predicted. And I continue to expect this sort of price action moving forward, but just be aware that we've now hit a major area of resistance, as I said earlier, where the price would likely continue to struggle at least over the next day, at least for the remainder of the weekend. I do expect the price to struggle around this resistance, remain underneath this resistance. And then of course, if the stock market is really bullish when it opens back up again tomorrow, that can also increase the probability of a potential breakout. And so honestly, if the stock market performs quite well, we do actually have a lot of ingredients in place for potentially a bit more bullish price action over the next 1 or 2 weeks potentially, because of course, not only do we have these oversold signals playing out and this bullish divergence technically still active in the short term, we also have massive liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, starting at just above 93,000, going all the way up towards around 95,000. In that entire area, we have a lot of liquidity, especially around 94,000. We have a major level of liquidity right there. And in case you're new to all of this, usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where we have a lot of liquidity. That's exactly what we saw right here. We had liquidity building at just above 89,000. Then the price moved exactly towards that level to wipe out those positions. And then we had some liquidity building right here at around 92,500. Then the price moved exactly towards that level to wipe out those positions. And so once again, there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but this is suggesting a high probability, a likely chance of the price moving towards the upside at some point in the next couple of days or so, the next few days here in the short term, to wipe out this liquidity in between 93 to 95,000, especially around 94,000 is a major price target in the short term here. And so this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of this next potential trading opportunity. And of course, if you use the first link below this video, that first link in the description and in the pinned comment, that link will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where just for the next couple of days or so, you can take advantage of a massive deposit bonus campaign. If you deposit as little as $100, you get a $200 deposit bonus into your account. If you deposit, say, $1,000, you get a $600 deposit bonus. If you deposit these much larger amounts, you can get up to 40,000 USDT as a deposit bonus. This is basically free money from the exchange, which you can then go ahead to actually use to open one of these Bitcoin trades right here. And then you can withdraw any of the profits out of that trade. And if you lose the deposit bonus, you're not even losing your money. You're losing the exchange's money, the deposit bonus. And so especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of this using that first link below this video to Pinex. And as you can see right here, unfortunately, this is only available for exclusively invited users, which basically means you just simply have to make your account using that link. If you don't use the link below the video to make your account, unfortunately, you cannot claim any of these bonuses here. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange exchange to trade long positions, short positions, all of that sort of stuff. For that, I also use 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below the video in the description and in the pinned comment. And that second link below the video to 2bit will take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of exclusive deposit bonuses that are only available using that link. And on top of that, there's also trader recovery funds using the link below this video. And so as you can see right here, during this campaign that's currently active right now, new users that are making your account during this event will receive 100% loss protection on your first futures trade, up to 200 USDT in trial funds. And on top of that, if you get liquidated during this event that's running right now over 50 USDT, then you may be eligible for a recovery compensation up to 1,000 USDT, depending on your liquidation. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or getting prepared to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well take advantage of this and check this out using that second link below this video. And once again, 2bit is a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and I'll basically repeat the same thing that I've been saying over the last few days or so, which is that right now we don't really have a significant amount of momentum in the Bitcoin dominance to either direction. Obviously, for the last half a week, we have been on a short-term bullish bounce, but overall, in terms of the momentum or the trend in the somewhat shorter term here for the Bitcoin dominance, we're not really looking overly bullish or overly bearish. Obviously, this is a clear example of a bearish trend. This is a clear example of more of a bullish trend, but right now, we're not really having a strong trend in either direction, which basically means a lot of the altcoin market, a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH, just like Bitcoin potentially now retesting this resistance in the short term, the price of ETH is also now retesting this resistance in the short term, which is specifically sitting at around 3040, around 3040, but really in between 3000 to 3.1k is the area of resistance that I'll be watching for the price of ETH in the short term. And so once again, right now we're retesting that area. It's possible the price will continue to struggle around this area, at least for the remainder of the weekend. But then once again, in the new week, when the stock market opens back up again tomorrow, it's possible we could see a continued breakout here, especially if stocks are bullish, especially if Bitcoin breaks out. Obviously, that would also help Ethereum with a possible breakout here. And something to note about the price of ETH right now, which is actually a bit of a bullish signal to keep in mind, is the fact that even though we have been running into this resistance over the last few days and struggling at this level, which is to be expected because it is a resistance, obviously we've not really seen any harsh or strong rejection from the resistance, at least so far. We're still hanging around the level, we're still retesting the level, pressing up against the resistance. And as I explained recently here on the channel, the longer the price presses up against a certain point of resistance, the weaker that resistance gets, because you could think of resistance as basically a bunch of sell orders, people looking to sell Ethereum at that particular price level, which temporarily stops the price from going higher. But if there's a lot of demand in the market, a lot of buyers continuing to push up the price against that resistance, soon enough, unless we start to see a strong rejection, which so far we're not seeing, if we continue pressing up against this resistance, which so far we are seeing, eventually we'll buy up through all of those sell orders and see a potential breakout. So at least so far, based on the current reaction, this is a bit of a bullish signal to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, obviously over the last 1 week or so, we have been perfectly playing out this oversold signal in the daily Ethereum RSI, just like what we saw these last couple of times here, or very close to an oversold signal in the case of this signal right here in the end of September. But overall, of course, this signal was indeed suggesting a shorter term bullish relief over the next few days, maybe over the next week, that sort of time frame. And since I said that around a week ago, that's exactly what has now played out as predicted. So I'll not necessarily rely on this too much longer based on this alone. Of course, we could use this signal combined with other signals, but overall, this has played out very nicely over the last 1 week. And so honestly, right now, my main focus would be this level of resistance in the short term, in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1k, causing the price to struggle a little bit longer around that area. But if we start to see a confirmed breakout above, ideally 3.1k, and actually holding above that resistance, in that situation, would likely see a move at least towards around 3250 to 3.3k as the next immediate target, the next possible point of resistance. And above 3.3k, in that situation, I would expect to move up towards 3.6k to 3.7k as a very significant area on the price chart. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for Solana. Technically speaking, the larger structure still technically bearish, but in the shorter term, we have been in a bit of a short-term sideways price range, bouncing between support and resistance. And so at least for now, we still have a lot of support in between roughly 124 to 127, and a lot of resistance still sitting in between around 143 to 147. So continue to expect the price to struggle around that area, possibly see slight little rejections from around that area. But overall, we don't have a massive amount of bullish or bearish momentum. We don't have a massive amount of momentum to either direction, at least in the shorter term. We're looking somewhat neutral, and this will likely continue to be the case at least over the next day until the stock market opens back up again. And honestly, I'll just be paying attention to what Bitcoin and other major altcoins are doing to figure out what is likely going to happen here for Solana. For example, if Bitcoin sees a confirmed breakout above this resistance in between 92 to 94,000, then that will significantly increase the probability that a lot of these altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, etc. will also see breakouts above their respective points of resistance. And so overall, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for Solana. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the price of XRP on the weekly time frame. And right now, technically speaking, we still have that massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, at least for now. That's not gone away, so not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on the weekly XRP price chart. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we technically have more of a shorter term bullish divergence already confirmed, already playing out very nicely here for around 1 week, with initially a bullish relief and then followed by a bit of choppy sideways price action, which are the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And at least for now, this is still technically active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate this bullish divergence, which means overall it is likely we could continue to see, at worst, maybe some sideways price action, but potentially a little bit more of a bullish relief in the new week, depending on how the stock market opens back up again once again. But potentially a little bit more of a relief, maybe another retest of this resistance at some point in the next few days. And the resistance that I'll be watching is sitting in between around $2.30 to $2.40. And so that is still the immediate obstacle, the immediate resistance to pay attention to. And if we actually see a confirmed breakout back above 240 and actually hold above that level, in that situation would likely see a move up towards around $2.60. But for now, once again, 230 to 240 is the immediate resistance, the immediate obstacle. And if we see a little bit more of a slight pullback, I would expect a lot of support at around $2.05 to $2.07. But overall, I expect somewhat neutral price action just over the next 1 day for the remainder of the weekend. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, over the last 1 week or so, we have been playing out this oversold signal, mostly in the form of a short-term bullish relief for the last 1 week or so. But we're now testing and once again retesting this level right here, which has been acting as a resistance in the short term, and that's sitting at around $13.40. So it's possible the price could continue to struggle around $13.40, give or take. But if we actually see a confirmed daily candle close above $13.40 and actually hold above that level, in that situation would likely see a move up towards roughly $14.50 as a potential point of resistance. And above $14.50, we have a major area to watch out for in between $15.20 to $15.70. But once again, the immediate obstacle for the price is this level at $13.40. And as for support to watch out for, in case we see a little bit further of a rejection or a pullback here, in that situation, expect a lot of support at roughly around $11.60, and also some support at just above $12, around $12.10. But overall, for the remainder of the weekend, I expect relatively neutral price action, nothing too spectacular just over the next 1 day. But then maybe tomorrow or maybe in the next couple of days, we could see a continued breakout if the stock market performs relatively well. We don't even have to have a massive bullish move. Just for as long as we don't see a dump in the stock market, it's likely this little bullish relief will continue a bit further for a lot of these crypto assets, a lot of the crypto market. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos pop popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.